We are live. We are live. Push one in the chat room if you can hear me. Push one in the chat room if you can hear me. Kind of doing it a little different today. Slightly struggle streaming because I'm doing some things at the studio. This will be an off-camera show for me today, but just okay. RM said she could hear me. Okay, good. Y'all could hear me, and give me another one if the sound is okay, because I never know with these Yeti mics when I'm not in the studio. Never know. So give me another one if the sound is okay. Going to be getting into a good video. Y'all know FD Signifier. He kind of made a splash, maybe ruffled some feathers in this space when he did a stream talking about basically he did a whole stream on the Black Manosphere. Some would call it a hit piece. There were moments where he tried to be fair, but there were some moments when it definitely was in hit piece territory, in my opinion. But either way it go, he did what he did, he said what he said, and everybody reacted, and he I guess he's the type who likes to bomb first and ignore the replies. I forgot, was that Tupac or Eminem that said that? I don't know, I'm not 100% sure, but either way, I can't think. No, Tupac had a song called Bomb First, but I think it was Eminem who said bomb first, then ignore the replies. But I don't know, it don't matter. But either way it go, we're about to get into this. I'm about to be doing a reaction video to a stream that he did. Well, actually, it was a live stream, but then he uploaded an edited version of it, like 40 minutes long. Not going to get through the whole thing, but definitely want to get through some parts of it. It was really good. It was really good, and he definitely said some things I agree with. I mean, I disagree with, but some parts of it were in good faith. So I'm going to be breaking it down. I'm going to be breaking that on down. So let's get ready to go. Let's strap on in. Let's strap on in as I find the intro. But like I said, some parts of it was in good faith, but then some parts of it was like, hold up. So we about to get into all of that and break all of that down. So let's strap on in. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
All right, what's up? What's going on? Shout out to everybody. And Sean Fox got it right on there. He said that was Eminem that said bomb first, then ignore the replies. I don't personally know that much about rap, but I can rather efficiently quote Jay-Z, Tupac, Eminem, and Kanye. That's about the extent of it. But we're about to get right into this. But really quick, shout out to RM in the building, as she always says on the way in. Hit the like button. Woke Quill in the building says, I've only seen, I think you mean seen. I've only seen a clip of this dude calling Abbott and Preach toxic. So I am assuming male feminist. Yes, I think he does identify as a male feminist. And if you think Abba and Preach are toxic, you are like really? Like Abba and Preach are pretty far away from toxic. They yeah, they're I want to say they're probably more in the middle. But when you far to this, if you're far to one extreme, you probably put them in the middle. But it depends on where you're at before you put them in the middle. I know where I'm at. So based off where I'm at, I definitely put them in the middle. Sometimes they get confused as a manosphere channel. Put it like that. They're close enough to our side to where they get confused as a manosphere channel. So if you're so far to the FD Signifier side of things, you probably will put them categorically in the manosphere type of spot. You probably would put them there, but they not that. That's not them. That's not them. They part ways with Red Pill and the manosphere on a lot of stuff, but I think their pursuit of being logical and objective causes them to take some stances on some things that people on the more SJW side of the aisle, will look at them and then try to say that they're toxic. They're not about to take up for some trans for a trans woman belly to back suplexing a biological woman on the mat and pinning her and saying, well, she's a woman too. No, she ain't. No, she ain't if she out there belly to back suplexing women. No. But shout out to LB Crypto. Oh, yeah, shout out to LB Crypto, and he says congratulations on the 30K. Absolutely 100%. This thing is about to take off. I can't wait till later this month. I got great things coming down the pipeline. I'm struggle streaming right now today because I'm doing some things in the studio, but things are about to take off. But shout out to LB Crypto. Do appreciate you. Appreciate Big Game Orenthal James. Shout out to Take Heed to the Message. Okay, like the name. Shout out to TD Hutch, Woke Quill, Domino King, Sean for getting it right. Yes, that was on the song Evil Twin where Eminem said bomb first and ignore the replies. That was on the song Evil Twin on the Marshall Mathers LP2, which was a very underrated album by Eminem. See, I know Eminem, I know Jay-Z, I know Kanye, and I know Jay-Z, Tupac, Eminem, Kanye. Those are the only rappers I really, really know. I really can quote a lot of their stuff, but that's because I don't really listen to this stuff. I don't really listen to rap no more. But Deanie says they are not manosphere, but they get lumped in with yeah, they get lumped in. They absolutely do get lumped in. Their objectivity gets them lumped in. But all right, the last person I'll shout out and acknowledge in here. Sorry if I missed anybody. Woo, he said it's his best album. I don't know about that, but it's up there. It's up there. But all right, shout out to J Speed. Shout out to J Speed. Yes. I missed your call, but I read your message, and I'm shocked you didn't know that ARC did pass away. I didn't do a show on it because I heard that his family didn't want people doing shows on it, so I declined to do so. But all right. So let's go ahead and get into it. You could cut the music. Because I'm about to go ahead and get into it as I pull up the video. RIP to AFC or KFC as you used to call them. RIP to ARC. I didn't do a full video on stream on it. The family, as I understood it, didn't want to see a bunch of YouTube videos on it, and I honored that. A lot of people honored that, but it would have been nice to do a stream or two or something, formally giving him his flowers. But I've talked about it. But that was very, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate, untimely passing of Alan Roger Curry. Absolutely. But all right, let's go ahead and get into this. Bad boy. Getting right into it. I'll actually rewind it all the way back to the beginning so he could do a little bit of intro to pre-ramble setup to this. And let's get ready to go. Let's get it. I'll let him explain what's going on and what prompted him to speak on this one.
So one of the things that came out of the video where I was talking about like colorism and gender war stuff, as I made a comment about the family court system being in practice anti-male. And I received pushback on that, which I think was correct, to kind of point out that when we start talking about family court stuff and we get into MRA territory, it's easy to fall into bad narratives and bad information because it confirms biases and it obfuscates complexity. And I want to just kind
of... Okay. My understanding, or I'll say interpretation, of what he just said right there. Basically, he said something that was true and elements of his audience came for him. So there's a de facto walking some things backwards process that it sounds like he's setting up for, but he wants to, or he wants to just give, shed more light on the complexity. He want to speak to the complexity because it is complex. But that initial statement about it being in practice anti-male, and those are very good and choice words to use. Those are very good words to use. In practice anti-male, because it's a lot of things that on paper, as is written, as is laid out, is not anti-male, but the way that they practice it, it is anti-male. Like I've heard somebody say that the divorce laws, or even in child custody, even in family court, those laws they're not gender specific. They're not written in a gender specific way, and that's true. However, in practice, they are anti-male. Now, it sounds as if he said that, and then a lot of his people came for him. That's what it sounds like happened there. That's what it sounds like what happened there.
Kind of re-engage with that take a little bit. So one of the biggest things, especially in the Black manosphere, but I think it's in all manosphere spaces, especially when you get to like MGTOW type energy, that an example of like red pill ideology hinges partly on the family court system and how the family court system is anti-male or what is the word to use? Gynarchal.
I think he means gynocracy. Shout out to BGS or Ed or whoever came up with that word. I think he means gynocracy. He said gynarchal.
You know what I'm saying? And this is an area of the manosphere that I empathize but disagree with. I want to first point out that I agree that the family court system, in the way it tends to practice, is not only anti-male, but this is an important caveat, it's anti-working class and poor male, which also means it's anti-Black male. And the manosphere people will tell you that this is women's fault, that the women have somehow gotten power. The same women that lost their right to abortion also convinced the family court systems to screw men out of fatherhood, right? The same women that...
Okay. If you concede in one breath that it's anti-male, that means it's in favor of women. That means that in those situations, they do have the power, and they had the power when it came to abortion. For a number of reasons, they're starting to lose that power because apparently that's an area where, I don't want to just say men, because I think it's only about 4 or 5 percentage points when it comes to how many men support who are pro-life versus women. Something pretty close to 50% of women are pro-life. Pretty close. They're like just under it, like at 47 or 48, and men are at like 52 or 53. It's something like that. So apparently the men who are on the pro-life side of it, particularly the conservatives, those who are Republican politically, finally got some wins that they've been fighting for decades. They finally got some wins. So you can't use that as an area to say that these women to depict it as these women are helpless and lacking power when they clearly have the power when it comes to the family court. In his own words, he concedes that point. He concedes that point. If he's saying it's anti-male, then it's definitely pro them. It's definitely pro woman. So to try to make that argument, I can't exactly I can't go with that one. I can't go with that one. Now, his problem is, now this is, I'm going to keep going back to this one. I'm going to be a broken record on this one because I see this all the time. I see this all the time in these discussions, all the time, where they will agree with a lot of things that a lot of men who speak up for men, who make man-centered content, I guess, I get, they will, or the manosphere, or whatever we're gonna call it, whatever it is, they will agree with it. They will agree with the points. Their only problem is that the degree in which women are blamed. It's almost like they're saying, you're right, as long as you don't blame women. And we hear that all the time, as if whether or not they agree, like whether or not they agree or disagree with us is completely contingent upon who we put in the hot seat. If we put the woman in the hot seat, then they raise their shield and sword for Sparta and they're ready for battle. If we put the system in the hot seat, they're like, oh yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, the system is bad. But the system is an inanimate object. Like a gun, somebody has to load it, cock it, aim it, point, and shoot. So in one sense, in one essence, there is a political discussion, a political debate, a system debate that does need to be that's had. In one essence, we're having that discussion. They say we don't have that discussion. In one essence, we're having that discussion about the problems and the flaws in the systems and the ways to work around the system, get around the system. And so the system is acknowledged as a problem. There's a political problem and a system problem, but then there's also a cultural problem. There's also a cultural problem, and they don't want that cultural problem to be called out. They don't want that cultural problem to be called out, because then that puts the woman in the hot seat. Then that puts the individual on trial for their horrible decisions or their horrible actions, or their actions that are essentially anti-family and anti-community and anti-best interest of the child. They don't want us to highlight that, because and it's a failure to realize that when we highlight that very thing, what we are doing is also making the case as to why the system needs to change in practice. But they don't want to connect the two. They want to do what Deanie is doing in the chat room and say, I'll say this, going after the woman won't fix it. But I understand. It's like, no, it's just a cape. It's a cape. I agree with you. It's like, you guys are absolutely wrong, but you're right as long as you don't blame a woman. That's essentially the argument.
Can't even get anti-rape laws and anti-sex trafficking laws and all kinds of protections. The same.
He's saying that women can't get, these are the same women that can't get anti-human trafficking or sex trafficking laws, but the fact of the matter is human trafficking and sex trafficking is illegal. So what do you mean these are the same women that can't get anti-sex trafficking laws? Sex trafficking is illegal in this country. And it's a fast and loose definition to where one could argue that if I by if I went somewhere and picked up a woman and moved her to another place, let's just say I drove 30 minutes to pick up a chick and then drove 30 minutes and brought her back to my house and then brought her to my house, and then I attempted to have consensual sex with her, and then she backed out and didn't want to, and there was an argument, and let's just say it was a contentious argument about the situation, and she by definition because because I transported her from one place to another place to try to sexually exploit her, even though the aim was to just go pick up a chick and bring her to my house and have sex with her. But you see how the fast and loose definition could be worded as, in one instance, I went to a chick, I drove 30 minutes to go pick up a chick and then drove her back to my house so we could have sex. That could be worded as, I'm verbatim stating the definition of sex trafficking. That could be worded as, I transported another human being to another place for the reason, for the goal of sexually exploiting the person. That's how fast and loose the definition of sex trafficking is. That anything could get called that. Anything could technically get called that. And I'm not even speaking to how much it happens and this or that, but what I'm saying is, to say that they don't have anti-sex trafficking laws when the sex trafficking laws as written on the books are so fast and loose to where a guy could get accused of it even if he was just really just trying to get some ass. So I mean, so no, he's incorrect. Yes, Charles Merchant, I think he gives me. He says, anytime you are with a woman, you can be subject to human trafficking laws. That is actually true. That, like, the laws are written that fast and loose. The laws are written that fast and loose. So I don't know what he means by they can't get human trafficking or sex trafficking laws. The laws are written pretty fast and loose.
Women that can't get like a lot of like reasonable protections under the law for the last 100 years. Also, somehow,
I don't know what reasonable protections under the law that women don't have. I'm a little fuzzy on that one. But let's go.
Manipulate the court system to screw men out of their rights as fathers, which is bull. Protections, all kinds of protections. The same women that can't get like a lot of like reasonable protections under the law for the last 100 years, also somehow manipulate the court system to screw men out of their rights as fathers.
Now, here's the deal. They don't have to manipulate the court system to screw men out of their rights as fathers when you, in one breath, admit that it in practice is anti-male. So they really don't have to manipulate anything. If it's set up to where if it's set up to where it's anti-male, then they're the beneficiary of a system that's in their favor. They're the beneficiary of a system that's in their favor. And I think he would be okay with that statement because to the untrained eye, that takes the woman out of the hot seat. But like I said, the system is an inanimate object. You have to load the gun, cock it, aim it, shoot it. So you run into a problem when you admit that the system is biased in favor of women and is anti-male, but then you say it's not the woman's fault. You're basically saying it's not the fault of the guy who broke into your house and stole your shit. It's the system's fault for not being tough on crime. But then when they get tough on crime, they're over policing and stopping for, so like that's the problem that they run into. That's because if they did try to, I guess, over police, do the equivalent of over policing when it comes to women exploiting the system that he admits is anti-male, then I'm pretty sure that he might be against some of that. I'm using air quotes here. I'm not on camera today, so y'all couldn't see my air quotes. I'm using air quotes, the over policing, so to speak. Hopefully y'all followed where I was going with that, because you probably would have to see my facial expression in the air quotes to get the gist of what I was trying to say there. Sometimes you need to see facial expression and all kind of shit to see sarcasm. But anyway. All right. Let's go. Let's get further into this. Somebody's just said in the chat room, it's always the man's fault. No, it's not the man's fault. He's saying it's the system's fault. It's the system. A lot of people, they will agree with a lot of things that we say, as long as they could push the problem out further and bigger. If they could put the problem on the system and absolve women and their culpability and actions, then they're typically good with it. They're typically good with it.
Which is bull. And the thing that they miss is that this is all a part of the same patriarchal system. And these men that get victimized by the family court system just don't got enough patriarchy. In essence, they don't have enough capital. They don't have enough money. They don't have enough resources to take advantage of the situation properly. But I wanted to.
He's blaming patriarchy for the separating the children from the patriarch. He's blaming patriarchy. That's a very peculiar argument to make. I said in some parts of this that it seemed like he was operating in good faith, but as I'm talking it through, I'm starting to think well, maybe not so much. But no, there are some parts where he's going to properly. He's later in the show, later in his presentation, he's definitely going to adequately explain. He's definitely going to adequately explain how the system is flawed when it comes to men. Let's see. Someone is asking, do you have kids? As far as I know, he's married with 3 kids. When I was Googling for a thumbnail picture, I saw a picture with hey, how's it going? Where you at? There. I think that might be him. Welcome aboard. Doing a reaction video to you. Shout out to you. Welcome aboard. Yeah, be nice. Be nice in the chat room. Come on, y'all. Cut it out. Be nice in the chat room. All right. Getting back into it. I get thrown off when people pull up. Now I can't remember the last thing
engage
I said.
with that.
Hold on.
Because I'm speaking partly. Which is bull. And the thing that they miss is that this is all a part of the same patriarchal system. And these men that get victimized by the family.
Yes, now I remember. He said it was part of the patriarchal system that's essentially victimizing the men. If it's part of the patriarchal system that's victimizing the men, see, this is where I stand with that. Because there are some people that essentially, and I've done content on this, where anything that's bad, everything up to wars and global warming, it's patriarchy. Everything that's bad, they call it patriarchy. So if something is going bad and is not in favor of men, they call that patriarchy. You can't really call that patriarchal. Like, something can clearly evolve from being patriarchal to matriarchal. And I think it's being very much more matriarchal if they're essentially saying the women own the kids. they're the woman's kids and they're not the man's kids. The man has to take legal action against her for them to legally be his kids. That's as matriarchal as it gets. So I can't accept the argument that it's that is patriarchal. Now, the argument that he lays out later, and I should play the clip. I should wait until I make it to that point in the video, but I'll go ahead and get into that right now. That basically the patriarchal way the system is set up is that the man is supposed to provide. So they're essentially doing that. They're essentially doing that by saying, no, the woman is supposed to be raising the kid and you're supposed to be providing. So we're going to give the woman to the kids and we're going to make you still be the provider. But in the same country where they do so many things to lift women up, we need more women. I mean, right now, more women are more educated than men. We need more women in these fields, more women in that field, more women, basically it's we're fostering a system where women are kicking ass and taking names. But when it comes to the family court, then they all of a sudden get to be 1950s housewives, and we're to believe that the system that he admitted is anti-male in practice does not know or understand this and can't make the adjustment. No, we can just literally say it's anti-male. We can say it's anti-male without trying to come up with some convoluted way to blame men. The attempt to do that is to essentially say that I agree with you guys are saying. I agree with the manosphere. I agree with it. As long as we could figure out a way to take women out the hot seat and not blame them for their actions, we're good with it. They're picking up that inanimate object that is the system, loading that gun, aiming, cocking, shooting. But no, let's not blame them. Let's not blame them. Let's not talk about a cultural problem also. Let's only talk about the system. Let's only talk about it from the perspective where we can, go at a system. So we can go at it politically. Let's not have a cultural decision. Let's not have a cultural discussion.
The court system just don't got enough patriarchy. In essence, they don't have enough capital. They don't have enough money. They don't have enough resources to take advantage of the situation properly. But I wanted to engage with that because I'm speaking partly from my own, not personal experiences. My kid, me and my wife doing good. My kids are good. They all in the house. Everybody good. But I know decent men, decent to not so decent men, who have struggled to maintain access to their children. And while it is obvious to me in these circumstances,
Deanie, you are absolutely right. I am distracted by the chat. I'm watching the chat more than I'm talking and even listening to the video. I'm just listen, hold Archer, man. Listen, Archer, chill. See, I'm babysitting the chat. He said debate these nuts, Archer, or come up with my appearance fee. Listen, FD Signifier, listen. I have issues with Archer as well. Okay, I'll just say that. I ain't about to say nothing ill about him. But listen, I'm reacting to the words that's coming out of your mouth. I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing personal. I'm trying to watch and see what they doing if they clowning in the chat room. And now I'm still distracted by the chat. You saying you got a debate fee? I respect the debate fee game or the appearance fee. I respect that. That's part of why I assumed you probably had one because I don't see you making appearances in places. That's why I didn't drop the link in the chat like I normally do when people show up. I normally drop the link in the chat. That's why I didn't even do that. I assumed you had a fee or whatever. But y'all chill in the chat room. Well, see, now if you're going to engage the criticism, then it does. If you're going to engage the criticism from the chat, yeah, it does kind of suggest that you should go on and come on up. RM, just put the link in the chat just on the outside chance. It's only the right thing to do. On the outside chance that you want to come up. Even though this is the worst day for somebody to pull up on me. I'm not even in my studio. I'm struggle streaming. I'm on my Yeti mic. I'm not this is a traveling road game. I'm just like bullshitting. This is the worst day for somebody with a big name with big subs to pull up on me. But put the link in there anyway. Put the link in there. Oh wait, RM, do you? Yeah. I think you can. I think it's set up where you could just drop the link without me giving it to you. I think you can click on that and just put it. Okay, I'll do it. Hold on. All right, there's a link in the chat just in case okay, see, RM beat me to the punch. All right, cool. All right. On the outside chance that he wants to come up. But if he's here just hanging out, just let him hang out. Yeah, be respectful. No, Archer, I'm not mad at you. It's just you say a lot of crazy shit that I don't stand by, that I don't stand next to, that I don't stand with. And so since you're in my chat room and you're addressing him, then it wouldn't be a far reach for him to think that, oh, that's how I roll over here. So I'm sitting there. I can't be responsible for the crazy shit to come out of your mouth. That's all I'm saying. You ain't so bad to where I ain't about to, block you from my channel, but I'm just saying, you say some crazy shit that I don't want representing me. That's all. That's all. I think a lot of people feel that way about you. But anyway, let's get back into it. We get back into the reaction video. The link is in the chat if he wants to come up, which I doubt he will, but the link is in the chat if he wants to come up. But all right, let's go. Let's go. And I think we get into the part where he's about to be fair and actually give a good breakdown of the things that men go through. And just to, put out the teaser trailer just a bit. The teaser trailer just a bit that he's going to make the points. He's going to make a lot of the points that we make, but he'll circle it back to don't blame women, blame the patriarchy. That's essentially the argument in a nutshell. He'll probably flesh it out with more details and more words than that, but that's the shorthand that I'll give it. But all right, let's go.
Is that part of this is because they are dealing with the mothers of their children who are utilizing the court system against them. It's erroneous to blame that on the individual when the system makes it possible and when the system is designed as such. Now, the comments that disagree with that, it's erroneous dealing with the mothers of their children who are utilizing the court system against them. It's erroneous to blame that on the individual when the system makes it possible.
Okay, my question is, if the system made it possible for a man to abandon his kid and face no penalty, don't have to pay any child support, doesn't have there's no legal responsibility on him, because right now we know if a man just, if he abandons his kids, he can go to jail for it. Okay, but let's just say the system gives men a clean, clear bill. Hey, it's your kid. You even signed the birth certificate, but you have no responsibility whatsoever, and we're not going to hold you accountable. You could do what you want to do, absolutely no matter what. We don't care. Can you still say that man is a piece of shit for not taking care of his kids? Let's just say that the baby mama ain't crazy and she ain't trying to kill him and she ain't giving him no problems. She just peaceful. She just got an open doors policy. Whenever you want them, come get them. I'm here. I'm here for you. Anything, hey, I'm rolling out the red carpet. You can come and go, be a father as you please. If she ain't giving him no problems at all, but he just literally just said, nope. Yeah, I made the kid. Yep, I ain't raising it. Nope, is what it is. Could we sit there and say that would women be wrong to say that, nah, this dude's a piece of shit because the system allows him to do that? No, we would rightfully call the dude a piece of shit, and nobody would get in the way of her calling him a piece of shit if he's truly a piece of shit. And that's the crux of my issue with this, when people try to make the argument that it's wrong to criticize the woman for what she's doing because the system allows her to do that. If the system allows a man to do something wrong, that man is wrong because he did something wrong. Like, it's I think people more on the conservative side could tend to be more like, are closer to being amoral pragmatists, but the people on the more liberal side of it are the ones who are more likely to be on some, well, what's right? What feels right? But right now it's like, fuck the feelings. Don't criticize this woman. The system allow her to do it. If the system allow her to do some awful shit, then oh well. It's the system. It's the system. Be mad at the system. Don't call her a piece of shit. It's like it's like, so in many ways, it's like they agree with what the men are saying. They're just advocating for women not to be criticized. It goes back to the whole protection thing. The whole protection thing. where shout out to brother Xavier, he said what they really want protection from. What they really want protection from is they want a protection from criticism. That's ultimately what a lot of the defense that people come at for when it comes to women and they're defending them against the manosphere, really that's what they're doing. They're defending them against the criticism. A lot of times they're not even saying that we're wrong. They're just coming up with contrived, convoluted reasons as to why not to criticize. And FD Signifier says, I'm not saying women shouldn't be criticized for hurting men via the system. See, that I have a problem with that. That's like saying, I'm not saying that the person who shot somebody shouldn't be criticized for hurting someone via a gun. It's like, even in saying that, you're trying to remove her agency. That's my issue there. That's my issue there. Because like I said, there's a system problem, there's a political problem, then there's a cultural problem. Like, we can address the cultural problem, and my view on it, culture moves in one way, and then the politics normally follow. Before the Civil Rights Act, any civil rights legislation was passed in 1967. Hopefully, I got my year right. There was a grassroots movement. People was on the ground stirring the pot of the culture. The culture changed, and then the laws changed. With gay marriage, I remember when the majority of people in this country was against gay marriage. Then they started doing some things, started making their voices heard. They stirred the pot of the culture. Then all of a sudden, it went from 51 to 49, 51% in favor. Then all of a sudden, the president became in favor. And then all of a sudden, after the president became in favor of it, then some legislation got passed. But the cultural fight had to be fought first. You don't win the political fight without the cultural fight. But people try to get in the way of the cultural fight and say, no, don't attack the person who's loading that gun, cocking it, aiming it, shooting it. Let's attack the gun. Don't attack the person who's shooting you with the gun. It's like that. To me, that's what it comes off as. But he said, I'm saying save the smoke for the system because you're not going to fix the problem by attacking women. In my opinion, that's still trying to protect the women from criticism.
The system is designed as such. Now, the comments that disagree with me in that take in the video made an important point that I want to start with, which is, for the most part, the vast majority of fathers who are apart from their children, it's because they're not trying. They don't want it. They're not trying out. That is
now that part probably triggered some people, but when he say a father being apart from his children, if he's talking absolutely zero contact at all, zero contact, I'm willing to say he's right on that one. And I came in planning on saying that before I even saw him in the chat room. When it comes to zero contact whatsoever, for a lot of the ones that where it's absolutely positively zero contact, now we know through the data that's not the majority that had zero contact. When it comes to fathers being away from the children, like every other weekend, I think that's away from the child. You're with them less than 10% of the time. It's going to be 100% your fault if that child doesn't turn out right, but you're with them less than 10% of the time. And that's what the system gives every other weekend. Well, Wednesday from 5 to 8. That's like just a little visit, a dinner. But basically, it's Uncle Dad parenting time. It's Uncle Dad parenting time. I still consider that the dad being away from the child, in my opinion. But when we're talking about full-blown, absolute, 100% absentee, no contact, the kid barely even recognize him if he knocked on the door. When we're talking about that, when it's that situation, I'm willing to say also that the majority of those situations, the dude ain't trying. I'm willing to say that. Even though some people may disagree with that, because there are situations, and hey, and hell, since I'm here, since we own it, I'll explain the situations. I had plenty of people on my show tell the horror stories about the situations where a man basically was saying he was chasing a woman all across the damn state. She tried to keep him from the kid. I mean, all across the damn country. She moving here, moving there. He packing up and moving too. He fighting the system over here in this state, and then he got to go fight it in this state. He doing this, he doing that. Somewhere he just washed his hands with it and said, "I'm done. I'm just gonna cut the check. I'm gonna keep evidence of everything. And when the kid turned 18, we'll have a talk." I'm very, I'm very empathetic to the situations where a dude just basically washes hands with it. I've talked to a lot of men that was broken down to that point. And before I got custody, there was a brief moment. There was a brief moment where I wasn't going to just wash my hands with it, but I said, I'm sick of this shit. I'm about to get my CDL license, and I'm just going to live on the road. I'm going to drive. I'm going to be driving and trucking so damn much to where I'm going to make so much money on the road driving this damn truck to where even when she getting me for 30% of it, I'm still going to basically make a lot of money, enough to essentially, survive and get by. And then ultimately, and just cut the check. And then it is what it is, whatever happens next. Now, I think we are joined by the man of the hour.
Test.
Yep, I can hear you. What is going on?
I hereby waive my appearance fee for the moment.
Okay, I don't know what your appearance fee is, but you wouldn't getting it right at me. I'm sorry.
Well, I know. It's a running joke. Okay. Just because there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There seems to be different. There's a gradient scale of manosphere figures. Some are just so buffoonish and absurd that I wouldn't dare be seen with them. Okay. And then some, while I have serious disagreements and issues with their perspectives, I peep in on every once in a while. And you just said something. I was like, you know what? Let me just jump in here and get it from the word of mouth. Because one of the things that bothered me about my response from this video was this adherence to the deadbeat daddy myth for Black men. And so while I have, major issues with this space, right, I feel like if I was going to find solid data to refute that claim to use in future content, this will be the place. Now, you mentioned that there was data going against that. I looked up something this morning. In fact, I didn't vet it fully, but Pew Research said that only 44% of Black children, only 44% of Black fathers are not in contact with their children. Something like that, which is the highest number of all men, but it's less than half.
You said 40. Hold on, wait. You said 44% zero contact at all.
I don't. You know what? This is one of them early morning Googles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't. I didn't. And I'm not saying this to. I'm trying to find the facts because I don't think I take great issue with the perception of Black fatherhood nation, across the board. And so I'm trying to see like what the real details are. Let me see. Here we go. I think this is it. I'm looking up on my phone right now.
Okay, well,
but what is your perspective outright?
Well, okay, I'll give my perspective as simple as this, and the data is kind of noisy, as they say. Mm-hmm. The data is kind of noisy, but I looked at it like this, and we did run and efficiently crunch the numbers on this one. We efficiently crunched the numbers on this one, and I could send you the video of the gentleman who crunched the numbers on it pretty good, showing that the majority of Black men don't even have kids. That's just one, just throwing that out there. Right. And then we're talking about of those men who do have kids, there's a good percentage of them that are married. Like if we look at the total aggregate of Black men, again, the data is noisy, and I'm not, we're not claiming, absolute precision with this. But if we just look at the total pie, if we're talking, I think somewhere in the area of 56% of Black men don't even have kids. There is another 30% that are married. So we're looking at wherever those deadbeats are found, they're found somewhere in 20% of Black men. Now, of those 20% of Black men, roughly of that 20%, we're talking, a good percentage of them that have something that I called Uncle Dad parenting time, that every other weekend and Wednesday from 5 to 8. There's a good percentage of them that have that. Then there's a remaining percentage that is hard to put a number on, that has no contact at all. And that's where an area where I agree with you. With most of the no contact at all dudes, when you break it down there, yeah, there's a good percentage of the no contact at all dudes that don't give a fuck.
Right.
But when you
I think we can agree though, like I'm not even trying to like that. I'm like, and I hope, you know, this is, I don't know how familiar you are with my actual content, right? This is my side channel content.
I only know about your shit when you coming for the manosphere. So I got smoke. No, just playing.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So yeah, so my main content, like that manosphere video, that's my main content. That's my longest video ever. So my side channel content is less research. It's less, you know, I spend less time. I don't write it, right? But and so like I also don't refine a script to get across the exact message. But one message that I definitely wanted to like engage with is removing the deadbeat daddy from the pole position of this discourse, because the data I've seen so far, and it seems like we agree on this, indicates that that is a minority of black men, even among black men who have sired children.
Yeah, we agree on that. We talk about that a lot over
right
here.
Yeah, and if you get to the end of the video, I kind of engage with that, like I want you to think about how that image is weaponized against black men and how it's shared, and it becomes the most prominent image of who we are, despite the data and the research saying otherwise. But so we agree on that. Let's keep moving on the video. And while I'm here, you know, y'all are, I'll rock with y'all until my wife gets home. So we got maybe 30 minutes.
All right. Well,
and we can parse through disagreements a little bit.
Well, one major disagreement, because you talk about how, well, you talked about how the image of the deadbeat dad is used against black men. And I'm somebody, I mean, I know you talked about how you're married and you got your kids and everything. I'm somebody who went through a divorce. I got custody of my kids, and grueling, expensive battle. I basically lost twice, had to come back again. And I had to, I'm not even going to get into details. My channel getting bigger to the point where I can't even talk about those details. But yeah, it got ugly. But I ended up winning in the end and getting a custody situation that I can accept. Here's the deal. When you talk about that system, and it did seem as this, and this is the part where I was kind of, you know, taking some shots, but we can keep it 100% respectful here. But I was kind of taking some shots because it did seem as if it was an attempt to remove culpability from the woman who's using the system. It's like you're saying we can't blame her because that's how the system is set up. And what do you think about my argument? That's like saying we can't blame a gun because of the way that the gun is set up or the way that the gun laws are set up. But from a cultural standpoint, we can't criticize a nigga who doing a drive-by. So we should be able to also equally fight the culture war on something that's happening heavy in the black community, but really all over, where women, yes, they're going to use that system in their favor. They're going to be strong, independent, and working and keeping up with men until they get in the family court, and all of a sudden they're 1950s housewives that need to be protected by the patriarchal system, as you call it. So
yeah, that's crazy.
That's my problem right there.
But so here's so within the same logic of why I don't want to waste time giving energy to the deadbeat daddy conversation, I'm not really all that interested in talking about evil baby mama conversations, because we both agree when you was in, like, so I don't know your story, brother, but when you was in court, you had to convince the judge, you had to pay the court, you had to pay the lawyers, you wasn't paying the mother of your children. And so while I agree, and I know brothers I don't even like that have went through this, brothers who I know they went through this because they messed up, but they still didn't deserve to have to work through the law to be in contact with their children. I know that that's a thing, right? My issue is, and especially this is my main criticism of the Black manosphere as a whole. So you got 30K subscribers. That's pretty big for this space, at least from what I've seen. Like a lot of dudes got more. I haven't checked your metrics and all that. I'd be a YouTube nerd. I didn't get this big by being talented. So there's what's the word I want to use here? The algorithm is a mysterious thing.
Yes, it is.
Right. The way we build audiences is not as mysterious. And then the way our content moves through communities and through populations is not so mysterious. And I say all this to say, when I pay attention to y'all, certain figures on the manosphere, right? And I hear things I think are important for me to, I'll say, sanitize, and clean up, so to speak. Hold up a second. What's up, baby? Yeah. When I hear things that I think need to reach a greater audience, I get frustrated with y'all because y'all have so much energy and heat and smoke for, insert random divester channel with 15 subscribers. Insert I'm just keeping it real for insert other manosphere dudes you don't like it's a lot of drama.
Oh, I hate that shit. I absolutely hate that shit. Yeah,
right. It's a lot of drama peddling and a lot of wasting time and spinning wheels talking about Black women this, Black women that, when none of that holds up to scrutiny for anybody with a system analysis. So even me being here is an invitation to say, look, I understand why y'all feel the way y'all feel, but y'all are wrong to spend. Y'all are literally just being inefficient to spend as much time as y'all do talking about blaming and attacking Black women when some of y'all, not all of y'all, some of y'all know damn well that the real problem is white supremacy and white patriarchy, of which we don't belong to. And brothers don't want to hear that. And I made a point this year. Okay. The reason I'm here is, you know what? I'm gonna come out my hole a little bit to just try to reach a little bit with folks. And that's all I'm saying.
All right. You said a lot. Okay, let me try to circle it back. Okay, we do spend a lot of time talking about the system and the problem. I don't think the biggest problem when we're talking about Black culture at this point in the game, I don't think the biggest problem is white supremacy. I think that system, I think, well, when we talking about family court, that family, the system is the system, the rules are the rules. And I think other cultures don't do things to exploit it as much. Now, as far as your criticism of some channels in this space, and I freely admit I don't even know what this space is anymore, but to the people that spend, to people in this space, and this is part of the reason why I don't know what the hell the space is anymore, to the people in this space that spend so much time going after other people that they disagree with, they got a beef with, they want to fight with this person about this and fight with that person about that. And then what you said about the divester channels, they got 15 subscribers. Yeah, some people do engage in that, and I think that can be goofy at times, but when somebody is making a bad argument, like for example, I think you said some things in this video, and whether you got 400,000 subs or 1,000 subs, if you say something I disagree with, I don't think nothing wrong with picking it apart and getting it out there, either way. But I do understand that there is a level of inefficiency in how a lot of people in this space do that, and that stunts the growth. And my channel just started growing because I started doing other things to get it out there. So I do understand that. I do understand the criticism of this space and how we are ineffective at getting our message out. And then other people who are not in this space will take many aspects of the message, but just present it better. And then they channels blow up using a lot of stuff that came from the belly of this beast down here, the belly of the beast of the Black manosphere. So that is a legit issue that I've talked to a lot of people on, and I'm trying to work out those kinks myself, and trying to embolden other content creators to work out the kinks, those that will listen to me. But my circle in this space has gotten pretty damn small. It's only a few people I talk to at this point, because it do be a bunch of bullshit. But the parts that's not bullshit is our analysis of what we're talking about. That's not bullshit. And there are plenty of parts in the video where you said, I agree. You basically said you agree with our analysis of certain things, but it seemed like you stopped short when the woman is being put in the hot seat. And I said it once, and I'm not going to just beat you over the head with the same statement, but I'll just say this. I'll say this one last time. The system is an inanimate object, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about kids, we're talking about family court, we're talking about the family court system. Technically, we're talking about an inanimate object. It's like a gun. Somebody has to load it, cock it, aim it, shoot it. If they're loading it, cocking it, aiming it, shooting it to their benefit, and you agree that it's anti-male in practice, that means it's pro them. That means from a cultural standpoint, we can call that out, and that cultural, us stirring the pot of the culture, and I don't know if you agree with my analysis when I said changing the culture, the laws typically follow. So I think what a lot of people try to do, they try to get in the way of us stirring the pot of the culture because it makes them uncomfortable because women are being placed firmly in that hot seat and criticized. And that goes back to what I normally say. They want to protect women from criticism, but agree that this is a problem that need to be fixed, but fix it without criticizing our precious women. That's what it comes off to me.
So I can understand that, especially from your perspective within this space where you all feel like women never get the appropriate criticism they deserve. I don't agree. I want to be clear.
They do now, thanks to us.
Well,
mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. I mean, we planted the flag. We did it. Yeah. I
don't think that's true. But I want to get off on a tangent. You said something earlier that I think really is the core of my criticism. You talked about the guns and the culture and all that stuff, right? So obviously within African American spaces, we have, air quotes, a culture that is connected to our material conditions, which plays some role in the reproduction of our problems, i.e., street violence, gang violence, whatever, right? But we also know from actual research that if you reduce the guns in a space, you reduce the propensity for violent crime. And so when you say we shouldn't be playing,
hold on.
When you reduce go ahead.
Let me explain to you what I came to understand with that. Mm-hmm. Reducing the guns, criminals are going to always find a way to get a gun in their hands. So if you reduce the guns or make it harder to get the guns, you're basically unarming the law-abiding citizens who want to protect themselves against the bad ones.
I want to be clear. I'm not anti-gun. I own a gun. I've actually used my gun in self-defense. But I know that the total reduction of guns, like the reduction of the access to lethal means, it's a net negative in the activity that is gun violence. And that goes across the board with pretty much any negative thing. Like, for example, I lost train of thought that quick.
Well, hold on. We'll back up and say what you said before.
So my point is,
I gotta stop babysitting my chat room because I'm trying to keep it respectful as possible. I
haven't even looked at the chat.
Good. I'm making sure they keep it clean down there. So just go ahead and repeat the last thing you said because I can't read the chat and listen at the same time. So go ahead. I'm focusing.
A better way to put it is, while I agree with the analysis, the problem is the interpretation. Mm-hmm. So when you look into, if you do academic research, you do science, you get your degrees, whatever. You read a research paper, they give you the methods, they give you the data, they give you the analysis, and then they give you the discussion. And the discussion is the interpretation. So the interpretation is supposed to follow the data through some type of logical, theoretical framework. And what happens here, and this is partly y'all fault, partly the algorithm's fault, partly just, we live in a patriarchy, so certain voices and certain attitudes are going to get amplified. But what happens here, like, who else has sat here in y'all space and did a 40-minute video explaining how the courts are not just anti-male, but are also pro-rich white men and weaponize women against these marginalized poor men? I haven't seen y'all do that. What I see y'all do is point out baby mama here, really bad black woman here, and say this is the problem. And ain't nobody sat and talked about the fact that Georgia, a state built on white supremacist legal systems, has laws that apply that were built for white slave owners that are in the 1800s that are affecting black single fathers or black co-parenting fathers in 2023. Like, that's not a conversation y'all are having.
How is the law? Okay, with two things. we do, well, you said it's made to benefit rich white men. I mean, right now we see a lot of rich white men getting just tore out the frame. A lot of rich men get tore out the frame, but we do a long, intense breakdown of what you were talking about. Some better than others. Like BGS will do a whole. I mean, I think you know who he is. You mentioned him.
I'm familiar with BGS.
Okay,
BGS
good.
Is not a fan.
Yeah, I know. But no, but he's one that does long, analytical, empirical breakdowns of things. So
I need to go through his channel and see what he said, because I know, if I'm not mistaken from my research earlier, he has in particular been affected by the court situation. So I'll be waiting. Maybe he'll respond to the video.
Well, it ain't even about his personal stuff. I didn't even know that. If you said he's been personally affected by it, I didn't even know that. He normally takes himself out of it and just does an amoral, pragmatic breakdown of what stuff is. And there's a lot of people. They're throwing out names in the chat room right now.
But hold on, somebody said lead, and if I'm not mistaken, lead attorney is telling men not to fight for their children.
Whoa,
is that true?
No, he didn't say that. I'm pretty sure he didn't say that.
I'm a hold that criticism until I can confirm it. But from what I saw in my comments, lead attorney is telling men that it's too costly to fight for their children, so they shouldn't bother. Now, if that's not true, I've heard him say. I hope that's not true.
I've had him on my show a couple times. I've been on his show. I know that he has more sympathy for the men who don't fight than I do, because he basically and you talked about this in your video, how in this video, in the video that I was reviewing, you talked about it, how for a man who's broke, fighting that system means coming up with money, and lead attorney broke it down to where, especially if you're fighting for custody, especially if you're fighting for 50-50 custody, basically, he said that you're going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do all that just for them to look at you and basically say, nope, you're going to get Uncle Dad parenting time. That's what I call that every other weekend, Wednesday from 5 to 8. So I do know that he said he understands why some men just pack it in and just throw the cards up in the air and just walk away from the table.
That may have been a mischaracterization. I hope it was, because I just can't imagine abiding by that in any community of black men, to say don't fight at all. Like, I also empathize and understand why some men don't fight. Right? Yeah, I get that. I get that as a concept. I understand what leads to that decision. But I don't think that's just not a healthy sentiment to promote any circumstances. So I'll leave that alone. I'll retract that completely until I actually review that information for myself.
Okay. It was something else you said that kind of slipped my mind, what you said, because I know it was two things that I wanted to get into. I think one of the last things you said, it's probably even the main thing I wanted to get into, is that you depicted a lot of the conversations as people just, I got it. Yeah, people just dumping on, banging on, evil baby mamas. I don't think it necessarily has to even be a situation where we're talking about some evil baby mama. Like, even when there's a marriage, and the man was in the life of his kids, he was raising those kids, he loves those kids, they still get the kids to the mother 90% of the time. They're basically saying, you're going to get Uncle Dad parenting time, and you got to pay for these kids that you're being told when you can see. And I think you even referenced that to some degree.
Yeah, I don't think we disagree that the system is in practice anti-male. Okay. I don't think we disagree on that. And that's kind of the only reason why I'm here, is because this is an issue where we probably have more synergy between, me, the king of the manosphere, and everybody else.
You just called yourself the king of the manosphere?
I'm claiming it until I can wake up one day and not go to my mentions and see 5 or 6 manosphere dudes tagging me videos.
I don't know if you the biggest. I don't know if you
I'm not.
I don't know if you public enemy number one. You might you top 10. You top 10. Oh,
I gotta be top 5, but I don't know.
I give you
I don't
top
pay
5.
enough attention. But that was all. That was jokey jokes. But my point is that between I have a large platform. People try to make it seem like my platform is all white people and black women, which is absurd. And I proved, like, if y'all watch the video, the Max Madison video, I even pulled out my data sheets. And I have a lot of black men who I know are, let's say, between two worlds. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm a radical leftist, y'all know that. But I know brothers in real life that are conservative. I know some of my viewers are conservative. And while I have major issues with conservative thinking and thought, I can put those issues aside to talk about black fatherhood and addressing the needs of black fathers and improving that situation as a whole, because that benefits, my political, that benefits the political world I want to live in. Is to have black fathers be a part of, their kids' lives.
You don't think the left has done a lot of things to incentivize fathers not being in the kids' lives, going all the way back to welfare reform, Great Society Act? I mean, if you go through everything that has ultimately happened that has moved the needle in the wrong direction for black families, it normally comes from the left.
So let's clarify Democrats and liberals from the left. Let's do that first, right? A lot of y'all don't understand that. I'm not a Democrat.
Okay.
I vote Democrat because those only motherfuckers out there that I can vote for, right?
Oh, I feel. Let
me finish.
All right, go ahead.
But I don't support Democrats. I don't believe in democratic policies or whatever. I vote for Democrats like I wipe my ass. When I wash my hands after I use the bathroom. Does that kind of make sense?
No,
it's not something I enjoy doing, but it's a thing to do. That's necessary.
We've said on this channel a bunch of times that when we vote, we vote, and black men are voting Democrat, we're voting with a bunch of well, you probably don't got a problem with them, but we say we voting with a bunch of purple-haired feminists in the policies that enable baby mamas to stay baby mamas. We could either vote with that, or we could vote with the Tiki Torch posse. One or the other. So it's like I
that
say
shouldn't be a question though, right? Like, one group wants to kill us directly. Like it's like, all right. It's like,
I'm not the most hardest core when it comes to this, but I know I got a homeboy who will blow a gasket if I don't mention. When you say one group wants to kill us, he would say that no, the liberal policies is enabling the black woman to kill us in the womb.
Oh,
so I had to get right. I had to get radical on you. I had to get radical, even though I'm not personally radical when it comes to that. But I could hear my homeboy screaming. I could hear my homeboy screaming. Shout out to Little Big Nate.
I don't want to get. Let's not stray too far.
All right.
Right. But just to be clear. No, actually, we're already too far.
Yeah, we are.
But I just want to put out there that, so first and foremost, I just really want people to understand that when I talk about the left, I'm talking about Fred Hampton. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Kwame Nkrumah, W.E.B. Du Bois. I'm talking about socialists. I'm talking about the original Pan-Africanism before, the United States government and the CIA starts to systematically kill and murder members of the black left. And so a lot of people don't engage with that. And I just want to be clear. And so you go far enough left, everybody still got guns. You feel me? Mm-hmm. That said, when we are talking about socialism, we are talking about welfare systems. And I talk about this in a couple of my management videos, this framing of social welfare as an attack on the black community, it just doesn't hold up the scrutiny. Like, people always take out the statistic that, black marriages were of a certain percentage, and black women or black children were born under wedlock of a certain percentage, and that percentage has gone down drastically since the welfare bills. And that's true, but that percentage has gone down drastically for every race in the country since those bills. And it's because women have more options as to how to choose to live. And I don't have a problem with that. Like, I don't have a problem with baby mamas as long as they are taking care of their kids and are able to take care of their kids. But they're not, I don't have a problem with baby mamas, period. I want them to be able to take care of their kids and like have functional existences in our communities. And like, I don't understand why I can go to a Black Manosphere channel and see 10 videos about baby mamas and like not any videos about this police military facility being built in my backyard. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the thing I will always criticize y'all for, because y'all got intellectuals. It's intellectuals in this space. I say that in my video. You know what I'm saying? That's why I know some of y'all fuck with me on the low, because black men who are intellectuals are a unique experience, a unique fraternity. And we want to connect to that energy. That's why there's a whole, what is it, Signetter? That whole
I don't think
Signetter space.
Yeah, well, he don't exactly count as a.
Well, I know he don't count. I'm saying, but my point is that there's a desire for Black intellectual activity among men that has always been around. And it just frustrates me that some of y'all have whole channels dedicated to talking about Black women and talking about gynarchy. You know what I'm saying? When you could
Gynocracy. I think
gynocracy, trying to give the red pill an academic name, because that's all that is. When you could be like helping to fight the power. What are y'all doing?
I'll say this. There is I would say a pro-Black and intellectual side of the Black manosphere. Like, for example, you're obviously familiar with Dr. T.S. Johnson. And truth be told, that's who you should be talking to. I appreciate you coming up, chopping it up with me. You really should be talking to Dr. T.S. Johnson.
See, here's the thing. I fell out with that particular aspect of the community so hard because Dr. Curry has blocked me on Twitter. And I don't know what Dr. Johnson's his actual status is within that community, to be honest with you. This is about, so it's the conflict of ideas and it's a conflict of content. Maybe me and Dr. Johnson will talk one day, but like, all right, it'd have to be in a certain space. But
definitely. You know, he listen. I don't know how much you know about him, but he's absolutely A1. Y'all will probably have more. Y'all probably will have more in common than what you think. Because when I listen to him, there are some areas. Okay, let me just make it clear. I'm pro-Black in the sense that I would like to see Black people progress, but I think most of the people who wear the title pro-Black, I think I see a lot of them. This is what I think. That's what I see a lot of them doing. They complain about white people and they try to spray cologne or perfume over a lot of the shit in the Black community. You know, somebody stank and they try to just spray some cologne over the funk. It's like that's what I see a lot of people that wear the title pro-Black doing. Dr. T.S. Johnson, he doesn't do that, but there are some areas where, you know, I may part ways with him, but I think you may agree with him. Y'all probably have more common ground in which I think. I'm going to try to do what I can to try to see if I could get y'all to get the two of y'all to talk, because that's really the conversation.
This topic may be the topic that brings me to actually talk to BGS and Dr. T.
Yes,
because I know if there's any men I have the most synergy with, it's probably them. Mm-hmm. I find the whole concept of gynarchy comical. And like I don't want to even like start having to do that fight before we get to the actual conversation. But we'll see. I'm sure this will make its rounds and I'll hear from somebody. Yeah. And maybe I'll pop up. Maybe I'll get another bat signal and I'll jump into somebody's chat. But let's keep going through the video. Let's get to the parts. Let's not make this purely conflicting ideas. Are we still watching the video? I don't know how this works.
No, I said the hell with the video, to be honest, but no, I don't got no issue pulling it back up, because right now you was actually getting to the part where a lot of us will agree with you. You was basically breaking down, you know, the issues with, you know, the issues that men go through, essentially, issues that men go through. So I'll go ahead and roll some more of it.
It's the reality of fatherless children. Most children whose fathers are not in their lives is because those fathers are not that interested in being in their lives. I don't
Wait,
think
okay, and I'm
that's
glad I could ask you directly. When you said that, you were talking, just to be clear, I think we already talked about this, but just to be clear, you were talking about those that got absolutely positively zero involvement, not know every other weekend. I'm talking if he knocked on the door, the kids got to squint their eyes like to figure out if that is that daddy. You
yeah,
know, like okay, if you're
we
talking about that, I agree with you. The ones
yeah,
who
I'm talking about that. I'm talking about we all know one or two of them. If you're lucky, only one maybe, or it's one of your uncles or one of your aunts was married to one of the dudes. That's just a sad reality within all communities. There's a couple of them type of cats.
all right, yeah.
It's untrue. I'm not going to dig into that. So feel free to come and correct me if that's not true on some level. But my experience, my understanding of these systems, the research I've done, that is true. However, when we talk about men that do want to be a part of their children's lives, what we find is a history of essentially laws meant to protect capital, meant to protect money, meant to reinforce gender norms. These laws will definitely stand in the way of men who want to be in their children's lives, and there's a conflict with either their economic situation or the mother of their children that can be used against them to make that much, much, much harder to do. And I think we have to
All
understand
right,
that.
now I wanted to pause it right there. Okay, this is part of the problem that I had when I was just going to be doing a review of the video. When you said those laws are in place to try to uphold gender norms, when every other aspect of American male female discourse, all the social dynamics between male and female, it's all to try to break the normal gender norms or I'm saying, so why do you think that the family court system is the only thing that's kind of de facto faking like they're holding on to traditionalism? Because I don't think it's holding on to traditionalism. If they're trying to break the norms everywhere else but trying to keep it here, that's just
So
the outright anti-male bias.
that's not the law though, right? So first off, there were like 150 anti-trans laws introduced last year that all had to get defeated one by one. The other thing is, if I'm not mistaken, and feel free to correct me, a lot of these laws across the country are being challenged and changed. Like this is the kind of the thing, like, oh, I know y'all gonna hate it, but like we need more Black men engaging with feminism, because what y'all are missing out on is a tool to actually attack this system. Because I'm just keeping it real.
Hold on, wait
Y'all
a minute,
are gonna hate it.
Time out.
Mhm.
I've said that on this show before, that the actual true feminist, they agree with us. They want equality. They want 50-50 at birth, 50-50 custody at birth, the true feminists. But the ones who basically own the day, own the discourse, and are the loudest voices in the room, and who normally get their way, are the ones who they not about that. They just want power in every situation that benefits them.
Imagine if we could turn the misogyny down to a 2 and have some come to Jesus conversations with real feminists.
What was my misogyny at on that
Well,
statement?
not you in particular.
Right,
I can't. I'm not casting that aspersion upon you specifically. Although, let's be real. Don't let me go through your channel, the videos. Now I'm sure I'll find something.
You're gonna find something.
All right. Well, let's not blow smoke. I'm just saying, like as a whole, imagine if we could turn the misogyny down to a 2. If we can take the misogyny from Too Short to the Roots, to Drake. If we can get it down to early Drake, right? Because Drake was still misogynistic as fuck, but we can get it down to early Drake, and we can have real conversations with Black women and Black feminists, and be open to the idea that there are issues that they face that we're not, engaging with them on in good faith. We could get so much done working together. That's what the Black Panthers did. The Black Panthers were egalitarian, but as much as they could.
You talking about issues that feminists are facing that we're not engaging them on? Like I'm in a place when this, I guess I'm gonna have to crank the misogyny up to at least to a 7. I don't give a damn about their issues.
Yeah,
It's
see,
like,
nah, that's the problem. Why? Because their issues are our issues. You just pointed one out.
how are feminist issues our issues and their issues
You
are antithetical to ours?
you just talked about the court system. You just talked about the 50. Because if you go through the video, I talk about how the court system putting all the pressure, onus, and challenges on the men is for one specific outcome, which is to infantilize and keep women in the house and out of the workforce. That's what it is.
But
That
every other area of discourse is trying to put them out into the workforce. So
which
really that goes back to what I said, is that they basically want to have their balls out in every other situation, but when they get in the court against a man, then all of a sudden they turn into a 1950s housewife.
excuse me.
And that's obvious. They're obviously doing that on purpose. Like it's not that the family court system is just slow to realize, this country has changed quite a bit. Maybe we should just
No, the family court system knows that if it changed the labor of childbearing, two children, two women, and if it permanently changed the labor of childbearing, two women, then women can never actually be equal in our society. It knows that. It knows that no matter how many Black Girl Magic commercials you see, or how many marches, or how many whatever, the system, the status quo as we know it, the hegemony, what capitalism, whatever big words you want to use, the situation we both know is going on, knows that men cannot have people born with penises. I want to be clear because I know y'all gonna try to get me on some transgender shit, some transphobic shit. People that have wombs are the only people that can birth children, and that the responsibility for nurturing those children and childcare, if it's relegated to them, then there will always be systemic incentives to bar them from the workforce. Why can't we get maternity leave? I'm sorry, paternity leave. We're the only country in the world that doesn't hardly do that at all. Most civilized countries have paternity leave because they.
So your argument essentially is that in a diabolical plot to oppress women, the family court system is fucking men over and essentially taking their kids from them as a backhanded way to oppress women, whereas in every other area we do
what are these other areas
thing.
What are these other areas? That's another thing I gotta challenge you on. What are these other areas aside from media campaigns?
That was going to be the first one, and I talk a lot about that because we just did a show. We were talking about the psyops of basically inceptioning people with ideas like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I put a high premium on that, higher than most, because I think like I always say, wars are won and lost, presidents are elected, and or they don't get reelected, based off propaganda. Who wins the propaganda war, that's who's going to win. So if all the propaganda is essentially basically putting it out there that women should do this, women should do that, and then it's hard to think that the court system is this powerless entity with a lot of power fighting an uphill battle.
It's not powerless at all.
Well,
it's using its power in a very intentional way.
What you're saying is fighting an uphill battle to work against all of the modern social norms, and
it's not.
I don't necessarily
but it's not,
buy that.
So I don't know what we were going to define as modern social norms. There's social media, there's the spheres of influence that we see, and then there's the reality that's presented through data. So it's that's real loaded. But what we do know is that the courts control these decisions, and that these policies are being challenged and changed across the country. They're just not being challenged and changed everywhere. And so so if you're saying that there's a cultural incentive, a cultural movement for egalitarianism of the genders, yes, I will agree with you. Now, yes, whether that cultural movement has structural power is another question. And so what I'm saying, and I'm sure we both agree, that the structural power trumps the cultural zeitgeist, right? Meaning you can't, I could get out here 2 years ago, that was out here talking about Black Lives Matter all through the streets, and people still a dude got tased to death in California a couple of weeks ago. So like the structural power is always going to trump whatever the culture is screaming.
Okay, part of that structural power would be, and I get stuff wrong when I talk about this, but Title IX. We talk about black women, they got the double minority status. There's all kinds of things. I mean, I'm sure you speak heavy on this one. How affirmative act. At least I assume you'll speak heavy on how affirmative action, how it went more to white women than to black men. Yeah, yeah. So those are the structural things that are basically trying to help foster this egalitarian world, mixed with all the social, political, or social media psyops and all of that.
But look how
so when you take all of that, I tend to believe that the court system siding with the woman is not a way to fight against that, but a way to say we're going to give them power over here in the other areas, and they're going to also have power over the kids, which essentially means that what's that word you don't like? What you said, gynarchy?
Hold on. People, what you just said. So, because this is where we get into intersectionality, right? Who is actually benefiting from these things? You just said, you talked about Title IX and affirmative action, two programs that predominantly benefit who? White women, not black women, and definitely not black men. And it's black men who essentially fund Title IX through NCAA, football and basketball. I have a whole video on it. So what you're actually proving is the accuracy of what I'm saying, is that these systems that you're perceiving them because of what they say to benefit women or black women, but in reality, they only benefit white women and at the cost of black men and black women. And then
how are black women? How are black women suffering from that?
They don't. Who gets the Title IX? Who gets the affirmative action?
Women, and black women have a double minority status, don't they?
Black women, but black women still don't get the Title IX and what's it called though? Do they? It still ends up going to predominantly white women.
Yeah, I don't know the exact stats on that, so I'm reluctant to argue real hard about that, but I do understand the concept. I did do some research on black women in the double minority status and everything. The hiring practices, it favors women, and that just goes to my point that there are structural things that pushes towards egalitarian. I understand that you're trying to side. You're trying to make it white against black to get me on your side and say, yeah,
because it is, and I want y'all on our side, y'all.
Like, all right, that's why I said you got to
imagine a world where it's really black men against black women, and white people just standing by like, oh man, that's interesting. Like, no, that's never going to be reality.
That's why I said I want you to talk to Dr. Tiasan Johnson, because he will go with you. He will go with you on a lot of that, but then he has the research behind him to really pick apart, and I think y'all have a real good debate.
I dropped out of my PhD program, so I know both of them brothers have read much more than me.
Yeah. I'm going to try to say, do you have an email that's accessible?
I will put it in the chat.
Okay, I'm going to email you. You're going to see my email. It's going to be called.
Actually, I do need to run out of here. Okay, I want you to get to this part though. Skip ahead a little bit. I'm gonna put my email in chat, but skip ahead a little bit. Let me see, because this is the part I really want. I want y'all to like two things to be true. I know we're not going to agree on everything
because we have this about how far I need to skip.
Shit, I can't see. You got the surprise.
It's at the 5 minute. It's about the 5 minute mark.
Damn. Go to like the 25 minute mark.
Holy shit! Damn. Okay. Yeah. I was never
right. Go back. Because let me see what that quote is.
Right here.
Yeah. Right. Go ahead. Let me spit here. I guess back up a little bit.
I'll just start right there, and I'll just sit back, roll it, and I won't even pause it if you say something crazy. I'm gonna let it rock. I'm gonna let it rock.
So I don't want to get into. But if this man was not like a threat to the child and the mother, it is amazing to me, and we don't know. But if this is not the case, I don't know how else to explain that away other than being anti-male.
Wait, hold on real quick. RM, well, first off, you did put your email in the chat, right?
No, I haven't put it in. I'm gonna put it in when I leave.
You could just put it in the
Okay,
private
let me
chat.
get
Only
it.
I'll see it, and my
I mean,
administrator will
my
see it.
emails on my. I got some of y'all niggas been emailing me for a year. 'Cause let's not lose the fact that some of y'all are not the most well people.
That's why I said don't even put it in the chat, but just put it in my private chat, and I'm gonna try to do what I can to try to facilitate to get a conversation going between you and Dr. T.S. Johnson. But I know you want to get this point on the table, so I'll do it. So I'm gonna let it roll. I'm gonna let it roll.
At its core, in that it's the belief that a man's contribution to a child is not important, and that his rights and experience as a father is not important to protect under the law. And that is something that is proven through the history of these laws. And I want to be clear, the reason for that is patriarchy. It is not hatred of men in practice. It is not the desire to limit the rights of men in practice. It is a desire to.
I know. Just put me on 1.5 because I want to get to this next part and I got to get out of here.
Okay, all right, hold on. See, I'm okay, I'm gonna play it while I try to figure out how to put it on.
It's the little gear. It's a little patriarchal system of gender norms where a man is a protector or provider who is not supposed to even be involved in child rearing, and a woman's natural role is to nurture and raise children. Bring up another quote that kind of supports and illustrates that. So this is another quote from a paper I got. Again, these will all be in the description.
I gotta get this research.
These societally imposed roles ensure the continued economic subjugation of women by requiring their dependence on men for economic survival. Following divorce in the forms of alimony and child support as social etiquette demanded that mothers not work. Courts promoted society's prescribed stereotype of the women who did not work as weak and in need of state-instituted protection by upholding workplace legislation designed to restrict women from working beyond a certain amount of hours, frequently in industries deemed unhealthy to their alleged gentler constitutions or from working particular jobs. So, and this is really the smoking gun.
As you can pause it there.
We talk about why.
All right.
What I'm trying to get to y'all. Like we not gonna agree on much right now. I'm gonna keep on working on y'all. We're gonna see. Maybe there's value in me talking to Hassan and them. But if y'all could just step back and recognize that Black men were never meant to participate in this system fully. Never. We were never meant to be patriarchs. We were never meant to hold that much power. Some of us always have. Some of us always will. But as a whole, we will always be on the bottom of the system we exist in right now. So when these systems weaponize gender norms, they're always going to end up being weaponized against us. And Black women in this one particular case may benefit in that they have the court, the state on their side. But as a whole, the majority of Black women aren't getting any type of good treatment under the state. So when I say that they're trying to uphold gender norms and say, oh, women are too weak and too simple, 1950s housewives, as you said, for white men with money, for men of means, for Akon and Nick Cannon, they can have all these women living a 1950s housewife situation. But we got to understand Akon and Nick Cannon, while I don't have any like explicit hatred for them, other than I hate that their images are being exploited, them dudes are not really on our side. And we should be collectively prepared. We should be collectively rejecting these narratives that have us thinking we should access this type of patriarchal power because it's always going to end up being used against us. And this is a perfect example. Because when they put Black men,
wait. Should we not want patriarchal power? Like I'm trying to understand the system. Okay, right. The system has historically been against us. It has always been against us. But when you say that we shouldn't be trying to act, and I was about to just let you have the last words. I know you got to go. No. When you say we shouldn't be trying to access patriarchal power, is like that you lose me right there. Like,
I know
like
I
that's,
do.
that's essentially saying that's like saying black. That's like saying Black men aren't men. This thing that men get to participate in, that ain't for you, boy. That's I mean, come on, like
that's literally written into the law, though. That's what I'm saying. Like it's kind of like.
So what should we be trying to access then? If not patriarchal power,
we should be rejecting the whole system and coming together with our women and anybody in between, right? I know you don't agree with that, but I just want to make sure that's put out there. And saying, yo, as a community, what works for us? Because if we keep chasing these myths, we're gonna end up doing what half of the content in the Black manosphere is doing, which is, pointing out what's the light-skinned girl that just switched over to y'all side, Brittany Griner videos.
Brittany Renner. She didn't switch to our side, but
I thought she switched to y'all side.
I thought she was too. She trying to do like a little subtle rebrand, but she ain't on our side though. She ain't on our side.
What's the white girl name that
no, that's just Pearly Things. If
I talk to anybody, I may end up talking to Mamiya first, because I gotta understand how this woman supposedly is the king of the Black manosphere. If I can't be the king of the Black manosphere,
she's not. She's not. Basically, hold on. A lot of our pro-Black detractors started that bullshit narrative, and they ran with it. And Obsidian is the type of person to, whenever anybody throw a punch at him, he leans into that punch. Obsidian Mumia Obsidian Ali. Just make sure you know.
Yes.
He leans into the punch and owns whatever somebody say about him, and he makes that his stump speech. So no, she ain't the king. Like, put it like this: I never heard of her until she had like 600,000 subs. Then I blinked and she had 1 million. So she
subs don't mean nothing. That's another thing. Like, subs don't mean, like,
that's technically true, but
that's
either
not
way,
technically true. Like, that's algorithmically factual. The subs don't mean, like, that's why you go to, I heard Angry Man shot up to 300,000 subscribers off YouTube Shorts, right?
Yeah. That's how I went from like 12,000 to now 30,000, mostly off YouTube Shorts. But my live stream numbers hasn't been affected that much. Now you do gotta, now that you got those people over there from the shorts, you got to figure out a way to get them from being the low attention span people that just watch shorts to come in to watch your live stream or your pre-records. So that is
you're not
work.
Gonna get that with like you gonna get like, let's be real, you got your diehards, right? Like, some of these dudes been here since 2008. And what's the dude name? The only one I truly like hate and despise, Sotomayor. So you got your OGs that's been here since Sotomayor, right? And then you got so you got the diehards that, no shade, but those dudes tend to be a little weird. And then you got dudes that they'll find y'all at 17, 18. They ain't getting no ass. They got dumped. They got cheated on, but they'll be gone by the time they 23.
I was trying to let you go. You gonna shoot some shots on your way out.
I can't just come through and be too cordial. I got a reputation to uphold. You know what I'm saying?
I was about to let you go.
No, it's fine. Go ahead, hit me with an intersectional feminist jab, and then we can.
No. I ain't even gonna throw a jab in the greater good of hoping that continued future conversations could be had. I'm gonna let you have that last jab. I'm gonna let you flip the tables over and then walk up out the house.
Good. I see what you did there. I rocks with it.
I'm gonna let you have that.
Gentlemen,
hopefully you respond to my email when I try to get you connected with Dr. Tia Johnson.
I will take it under consideration.
Come on.
But in all truth, like, in all seriousness, gentlemen, I really pray for y'all. I hope that whatever situation has brought y'all to the headspace y'all are in eventually leads y'all to, like, truly seeking unity with the women that are in a lot of these thumbnails. And even if it don't, I'm still praying for y'all. For real. That's the only reason why I'm here. All right. I gotta go.
Thanks for coming through.
Peace and blessings.
Appreciate it. All right. The link about to be in the chat, and all the things y'all been waiting to say. y'all can come on up and sound off. I'll put the link in the chat while I read the super chats. Appreciate each and every one of y'all that's been supporting the stream. Appreciate each and every one of y'all that's been supporting the stream. But all right, here we go. We got JC the Conqueror in the building, says salute BR. My man Hoop Jargon in the building says I low-key judge ninjas who keep the generic StreamYard logo on the stream. Like, yeah, he don't live stream that heavy. Well, at least I don't think. I think you do mostly pre-recorded stuff. So he ain't heavy into the live stream game. So yeah, it is what it is on that. Freedmen's Journal in the building says salute Bernard Riley and support Black Male Media. Absolutely. Osama Abdu in the building says salute to FD Signifier for coming on and having a discussion. The Clue channel in the building says white supremacy doesn't exist. Freedmen's Journal in the building says Bernard Riley, he wants to change the system. Now would be a good time to show some school boards, then listen to some tortured logic. Good point. Good point. Auntie in the building says, what's worse, the system that's messed up or the people that use the system against their child's other parents? That is the central part of my argument that I came on to basically talk about in the video when I was doing a reaction video to him. And he came up and I talked to him about it directly, and he gave an answer. I didn't find it to be a completely satisfying answer, but he did come up and answer. So I gotta give him respect for that. Kristen Hutchison in the building says Buck has to stop somewhere. The CIA can ship drugs into the community, but if we refuse to sell or use them, it's ineffective. Don't take a shortcut / bait. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Aunt T in the building says, really two sides of the same coin, and he believes one side is better than the other. Is heads ever heavier than tails? He votes based on emotions, just like most women and the politically immature. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. My man Hoop Jargon in the building trying to put a bounty. Tried to put a bounty on him. No, we don't even do the bounty thing over here no more. J Speed don't take the panel as much as he used to, but you did. J Speed come up here clowning. The bounty is still in play for J Speed if he come up here clowning. But Dirty Folks in the building, he says the patience of Job during toddler babble. Yeah, well, Dirty Folks in the back. Why do we bring Dirty Folks up? Y'all come on. I do want to hear y'all take and y'all opinion on this. I do want to hear y'all take and y'all opinion on this. Aunt T in the building says equality is supposed to be about fair and balanced competition. These groups he's mentioning don't want equality. They want special treatment and concessions at the expense of men. That was essentially what I argued. He made an interesting argument that I can't get in the car and ride with, where I ain't even about to rehash that part of the argument, because that's essentially my point. That it's not about equality. It's about them wanting power, and they try to gain power in every other avenue, every other venue, but they play the victim in family court, and the system permits it. And he tried to say that was patriarchal, but respect to him for coming up. He argued his points. Like I said, I asked him a lot of the questions. It was a lot of stuff that he got that I wish I could have got a chance to ask him, that slipped my mind when he was talking. But I asked him a lot of the questions that I wanted to ask him, and he answered it, but I didn't think all the answers were completely satisfying, as I said. But he still he answered it. He answered the question. Winthrop in the building is throwing tomatoes at him. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. And the last one here is Don Gordito says, shout out to Bernard and FD Signifier for having this conversation. And FD Signifier admitted that he wants us on his side, fellas. LOL. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody who talk want people to agree with them. But either way it go, we are joined by Dirty Folks and the GOAT, in my opinion. LAR movement, still moving in the building. What's going on? But starting here first. I'm very interested in what Dirty Folks is about to say here. The FD Signifier pulled up on me when I'm struggle streaming at home on my laptop with a Yeti mic. Then he want to pull up. I wasn't even ready, but we got it in. It was wonderful. I'm glad he came up. But I'm very interested in what Dirty Folks got to say on this. Go ahead.
You know what, man? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. I can't hear me. That's crazy. It's funny because I was just on Conservative channel, and I just said, man, this is why I don't trust men that marry black women.
Oh my god! See that niggas like you is the reason he don't be wanting to come by and talk to us. But go ahead, you got it.
Look, man, if here's my thing, and I've said this on your channel, I've said this on my channel, I said this on everybody's channel. I have a philosophy in life. If two or more black women agree, do the opposite. So Since men are better than women, if
You
one
you
feminine
show that ain't in the Bible?
man, it should be. It should be in Ecclesiastic somewhere. Out of 1,000 men, one was righteous. Out of 1,000 women, there were none. I'm gonna go with that one. But anyway,
All right.
but I believe a male feminist is worth two women because men are better than women. So just listening to him, I'll just do the opposite. Here's my issue with everything he said. Men who champion women don't do anything. You there's no man who does great things that champion women. They might do something small like a little league team, but they don't go out here and they don't do the Mark Smiths and the what's my man name? He's my idol too. I can't think of his name. Um, but they don't become champions of justice. They don't go out here and do what's required to create the system. They talk about another man's system, but when you say, you know what, let's make a system that works for us, they say, what about the women? And I say, what about the women? Because women are spoils of war, and women are doing just fine. They do whatever they want to do. They can get a job, fine.
Yeah.
They cannot work, fine. They can work and save all their money and make your fool ass pay all the bills while she pay cable. Fine. She wants kids, fine. You don't want kids, don't matter. She wants kids, fine. If she don't want kids, she could put them in a little envelope and mail them to the fire station, fine. Like whatever the fuck they God, bro. These motherfuckers roll with all omnipotence and no penalty. They God. How do you fight God?
Yeah, that goes to, one of the questions that I asked him when he said you got to realize this patriarchal system does not going to work for us. He's saying we shouldn't want or desire patriarchy. He essentially said no, and then he basically said, "Now that's what should we do?" He basically said work with our women, and he said everybody in between. I guess that was referring to all the intersectionality stuff. Basically, I think the whole Rainbow Coalition and everybody who support Black issues get on board with them and our women, and just try to figure out what works for us. But seemingly, and I know you agree with this, like you say, when people talk about Black, what they really mean is women, gays, and felons. Women,
Yeah.
yep, women, gays, and felons. So it's like, how do you get on board with that? Like, how do you? It's like, so that was my disagreement there. That was my disagreement that y'all heard right there. But we got LAR movement still moving in the building. What's going on, fam?
How you doing, man?
Doing great. Doing great.
I enjoyed it. It was duplicitous and hypocritical, but I enjoyed it. So patriarchy is bad because men are bad. Black men, you need not be in patriarchy because it's white men and they don't like you. So Black men, what you do is go to white women who are in feminism who don't like men but like white men. So don't work for the guys, work for the girls. And we can intersectionality our way up to the mountaintop, basically. So as long as you and yeah, the ladies don't like you either, but help me to help me. Oh, and by the way, I'm doing this because I'm trying to undermine feminism. Come on now.
Man. I'm just gonna pass it on that one. That was yeah. That was well said. Archer, you said you got something. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to make one thing clear that he keeps bringing this up. And he says this about the gynocracy, and he says he hates that word, and he doesn't believe that laws are created in favor of women. And his argument against that every time is rich men. Laws can't be created in favor of women because rich men have the money and power to circumvent those laws. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, rich men can circumvent all kinds of laws. They're rich, but you can't take that small percentage of rich men and their abilities and use that to negate everything else that's happening to all the other groups of men who are not rich.
Yeah. No, facts on that. Definitely facts on that. I always like to point out, and most of the time when people are talking about patriarchy, most of the time people are saying, well, men have power. They're talking about a small percentage of men have power, and typically in a capitalist system is basically those men at the top with the power. They're working in the best interest of maintaining their power. So if
Okay,
he argued from that standpoint that it's classism, and our fight is against the elites who are running everything, which I don't necessarily think it is. I mean, in an open market capitalist system, there's going to be winners, there's going to be losers, there's going to be people in the middle. Long as I see opportunity for people in the middle to make it to the upper middle, and people who in the upper middle got a chance to make it to the upper, long as I see that, then I'm technically okay with the system of capitalism, long as I don't see it actively preventing people. And I'm sure he'd disagree with that. He would say that it is actively 100% preventing people, particularly probably black men. That's where he get on the sides of black men, when he could say that white men are doing something to stop us. But when we talk about how in the ways in which black women are complicit, active, and that some would say the right hand of that system, no. He's like he wants no part of that discussion.
Well, I want to make one more quick point. I'm gonna jump off and leave y'all alone. He also said something that's not healthy for men not to fight for their kids. Well, at the same time, he said, because y'all were arguing about y'all are talking about
lead attorney.
He said it's not healthy for men not to fight for their kids, not even acknowledging the fact that it's not healthy that women make men fight so much.
Yeah.
Then he also said something earlier. He said, as women got more rights and more freedoms to live their life the way they want to live it, they chose to live their life with their kid without the father, and he has no problem with that choice.
Right.
So it's like, bro, where the freak do you stand? So the women can choose, and you're okay with the women choosing to live the life without the father, but you're not okay with the men not wanting to go through with the fight to try to stay in that kid's life. But the women choose to put him in that fight. Like,
yeah, no, facts.
Can I add something to that?
Yo, please, go ahead.
And after all of that happens, you need to get with these women intersectionality so they can do it some more, because some way they're going to empower you at the end of the day.
Okay, here's my problem with all this, right? Number one, I don't believe in white supremacy. White supremacy is black women. When you really think about the quote unquote community,
that's
right?
too much of a shorthand. See, he like to take sound bites like that and say, yeah, but okay. I understand. Somebody in this space said they're the right hand of it. Okay.
No.
I can go with that one.
They are it. And I'll explain to you why. Here's my thing. Because it's all about authority figures, and girls hate authority because you can't tell them nothing. And so do male feminists. Anyway, so the only authority figures you see that are white that's in any community are teachers and police officers. White people don't even really own the stores and gas stations in the community. Unless you go in their community, you have no intersectionality with white people, generally speaking, right? But when you need an opportunity, white men will hire you before a black woman will. When you need training, white men will teach you before a gay man will. Like, when the thing that I think is weird about black men and their codependence on women, especially white women, is every time they make a movement for patriarchy, white men give it to them. I want to say this again because I don't think you guys understand. White men give black men the authority and the ability to be patriarchs, and black men include women in every goddamn chance they get. When y'all last hired, first fired in
why don't you think we understand that? That's the major point in this space that everybody generally makes.
I know what I'm he left, man. I'm doing my thing. Look, all I'm saying is that when you look at it for what it is, because I was raised like, oh, black white people bad, and then when the first white people I ever met offered me opportunities, like in droves, like, you're smart, because they don't care about your color, they care about your aptitude. Like, can you do the job? Oh, you smart? Yeah, check this out. Come on in. That is an opportunity as an American. That has nothing to do with color. That has to do with the aptitude to get the job. So if you make a classism argument, I might not agree, but I can see it because classism is a thing. It exists. But when you make it a colorist argument, and then your counter argument is, yeah, it's about color, so I got a bunch of women and gay white men because it's about color. Like, bro, that's who we fighting, B. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, The
Here's
Okay, let me address this real quick. Freeman Journal said white supremacy is black women. This is true. Exactly not. He's saying exactly not the right hand. Oh, he said I think he's referring to me saying that they're not the. Hold on. Hold on. Wait. He typed it. He typed it twice. Hold on. He typed it twice. I want to make sure I get the one that I meant to click on. He typed something twice. Okay, screw it. That's the one I'm gonna read. Okay, anyway, he says white supremacy is black women. This is true, exactly not the right hand. He said this is just trying to shift blame to the white and remove black woman's agency. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm saying, okay, if you
no,
accept
he's
the
saying
hold
that
on.
he's saying
Oh,
that's
go
what I
ahead.
said. No, he's co-signing what I said. That's not what you said. That's what I said. He's saying exact. He should have put a comma. Exactly, it's not the right hand. White supremacy is black women. That's what he's
I know,
saying.
I understand that's what he's saying, but I'm correcting that I'm not trying to shift the blame. I don't accept the premise when people say white supremacy. I don't accept all the premises on that. When people are talking about
live.
white supremacy, hold on, real quick. When people
I'm
talk
sorry.
about white supremacy, I don't accept all of the premises. But if we're going to accept the premise, then black women are a tool in it. I don't think they are it, because if you accept the premise of it, then you have to accept that it's coming from on high, not on high like God, but I mean, but
Right, right. It's come from a higher.
yeah, it's coming up from a high from a position in higher power than black women. So I think it
Okay.
is a fair assessment if you accept the premise that they are either the right hand or the tool or a tool of it.
No, they are it. But here's the thing. You have okay.
I don't get
Okay.
how. That's why. Hold on. That's why I don't even play the game of talking about white
I
supremacy.
I don't either.
I talk about individuals in their actions in their that was the central point in my whole presentation and my central point in my conversation, that you can't talk about the system as if it's as if it's a gun that's floating in the air shooting people. It's an inanimate object. Somebody got to load it, cock it, aim it, and shoot it. That was a central part of my argument that I made towards him.
Let me propose something. Let me just go with the white supremacy argument in the way that it's presented. To me, it's just simple math. They're gonna say if you're on the right or Republican side,
Hold on, wait, Deanie, shut the get out here with the bullshit. All right, I'm not trying to clean nothing up. I disagree with the man, and I told him why. Quit trying to make it seem like I'm doing some damage control. Like,
Okay.
no, I disagree with the statement. All right,
They,
go
they,
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
they're also
Go ahead,
patriarchy though, by
LAI.
the way.
hold
They're
on,
also
hold on.
patriarchy. That's why they
Here's
call
the
it the
thing.
man.
Here's the thing. They'll say conservative, Republican side, white supremacy, white people don't like you. Predominantly, you're gonna say white men, white women, that's all Republicans, blah, blah, blah. Then you're gonna say liberal Democratic side. These, intersectionality. Now you got white people, white men, white women, feminists, and the gay community and people of color all together. But guess what? All of them people collectively don't like black men either. So if I got two people who quote unquote hate me on one side and five that spreads out to 10, depending on which way you group it, that hates me on another side, why would I be over there?
Right.
Generally speaking, bro, people help those who help themselves. No matter what you are, you can't get $1 when you broke, but you'll get free dinners when you rich. People help those that
Right.
help themselves.
Hold on. Shout out to hold on to BGS in here. I don't know if you know, FD Signifier actually came through and I talked to him. I got him to tentatively agree to speak with Dr. Tiasan Johnson and yourself. I got him to tentatively agree with it. I'm gonna email him and see if I could do anything to help make that happen. See if I could do anything to help make that happen. But yeah. But all right, go ahead, dirty folks. I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. Go ahead, you got it.
No, you good, bro. Sure. I'm in Facebook jail. I'm just trolling people. Look, I mean YouTube jail. Look, patriarchy is a white construct. White supremacy is keeping us down. Women are the best nurturers, even though most criminals and dropouts come from single mothers. Men are bad, women are good. Black is godly, women are God. Um, and we're wrong. We're on the wrong side, so we need to join the women, gays, and felons in their fight to make us second class citizens, so we can go back to slavery, bro. But they'll rebrand it as universal income. So I'm switching sides, baby. I'm switching sides with the blacks. Nah, not at all. So that's what he's saying though, because he's entered. Did you see how he swapped patriarchy with white supremacy? Just like it's the same thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Can
Yeah,
I add a
yeah.
little sauce to this real quick?
Go ahead, go ahead.
A lot of times, and you know, y'all will see this later on if y'all watch my channel, but a lot of times, a lot of male feminists are really just guys who don't want to take out the trash, who don't want to cut the grass, who don't want to change the oil in the car, who don't, you know, who don't want to pay the mortgage, who don't want to pay for the date. And it sounds good. Like, maybe, you know, you are strong and independent and we are a team. Yes, you should pay for that. You know, they're just guys who want women to go to work so they can be at home. They do want, they do not like gender roles, because it's any time for them to have a male gender role too. I don't want to do that. So I mean, these guys want to just sit at home for the most part, watch Young and the Restless, you know, eat ice cream, and then turn around and tell the men who are quote unquote traditional as far as gender roles go, you know, y'all are crazy. But could you come pick up the trash at 3? Could you know what? Could you change the oil on the car? Could you come cut the grass? Could you teach my son how to be a man? Because I ain't got time. I'm getting my nails done in the spa day.
That's my problem. That's my problem with men being awesome. Because men are fucking awesome. Here's my problem with men. It's not my problem with men. This is what makes men great. But this is what women weaponize and take advantage of. Men like a sport, and men want to teach the sport because they love the sport. So now he's a coach. A bunch of single mothers drop him off to be surrogate dad for 2 hours. Men men want to mentor because they remember being a boy and they want boys to be okay. But it's supplemental mentoring. It's supposed to be in addition to what you learn at home, but they end up teaching all the men lessons. So then they like, yo, I'm gonna get him a mentor. Men want some ass, ends up being a stepdad. Don't even have no kids, but he steps into the role for some pussy and excel in that role. Women want men to be everything as long as he's not in a position to tell her what to do. That's why they look for stepdads while they still pregnant. That's why they get divorced and call it graduations. They do all this stuff so they don't have to listen to a man's authority. So when I hear men say patriarchy is the problem, but these chicks run from patriarchy like your child runs from bath time, it's bananas to me.
Yeah, but all right, all right, all right. We at the 2 hour mark. I was only planning on a short show today, so I'm about to still stick to that and uphold that. I'm about to stick to that and uphold that. But no, thank you for everybody that's coming that came through today. Everybody who liked, share, subscribe, super chatted, cash app. Perry sent the cash app. Shout out to Perry, just sent the cash app. Appreciate everybody who support the stream, and shout out to FD Signifier. He actually came up and we had a discussion. That's what's up. That's what's up. I appreciated that. But all right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen. With that said, we are out of here. Peace. We gone.